We are joined by Mr. Sumanthiran, the leader of the Tamil National Alliance in Sri Lanka. Sumanthiran needs no introduction. He has been part and parcel of Sri Lanka's government and also Sri Lanka's opposition for a very long time. Sumanthiran's association with the Sri Lankan polity and also the Tamil question has brought laurels to the minorities in Sri Lanka. Joining me is Mr. Sumanthiran. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
So I have few questions to you based on the coming up elections, the ensuing president elections.
Yeah.
So a lot of parties have sought support from the TNA during this election. So have you decided on that, and what is happening, or the deliberations going on?
Well, we have met about 4 times, our party's Central Working Committee, and we decided to talk to the 3 main candidates and place before them our expectations. So that we have done, and we were waiting the release of their manifesto so that we could then see how much they have responded to our expectation and then take a decision. The manifestos of the 3 main candidates came only this week, just a few days ago. So we are meeting on the 1st of September, Sunday, to take a decision, or should I say, we are meeting to consider what they have said in their manifestos.
How crucial or important is this president election for the Tamils in Sri Lanka?
It's very, very important. Every presidential election is important because the current system that we have of executive presidency, the president is all powerful, and this is one election in which those of us who are numerically inferior sometimes have a say. If there is a heavy clash between 2 main opponents, ours can be the deciding vote. In the last 3 presidential elections, once we managed to pick the winner and back the winner, and the consequences of that was immense. A lot of our lands were released. We made several strides forward. This time round it is even more important because there are 3 main candidates. So when the votes in the south are split into 3, we definitely will become the decision makers.
So all this while, be it any president, be it Ranil Wickremesinghe or Maithripala Sirisena or anyone in the recent years, they have always said that they have pledged to resolve the pending questions, pending issues, particularly to deliver a political solution to the Tamil question, Tamil national question. So do you think you are inching towards that, and this election will promise?
Well, this election is different in another sense also. In the last 3 elections, there were 2 main candidates. One was had a softer approach towards Tamils and others who are numerically in the minority, whilst the other candidate was hardline Sinhala Buddhist nationalist. Now, this time round, the big difference is all 3 have an approach that is very soft towards communities that are numerically inferior. So, there is no contest between majoritarian Sinhala Buddhist nationalism and others who would want to work with everyone in the country. All 3 are vying for our votes, and on the basis that they will somehow deliver on the promise on the Tamil national question.
And in between 2015 and 19, when the Ranil Sirisena government was in power, they attempted to draft a new constitution, but did not complete. So, do you see anything that will happen, a follow up on that now, or
Well, there was a consensus that was reached, although the constitution itself couldn't be enacted. The consensus was largely on the power sharing issue and on the abolition of executive presidency. It was a few other issues that there was no agreement. So, the candidates, all three candidates who are what we call the main candidates, were part of that process, and they know what that process meant, and they were in agreement with that process. So, we expect either a continuation of that process, or at least use that as a base, and without reenacting the wheel, move forward based on the consensus reached in that process.
You're talking about the consensus that was reached then. So, do you expect the unitary constitution to go away after this election? Or
The consensus that was reached was to do away with the descriptive term of unitary. Although we did not use overtly use the term federal, there were several crucial features of a federal arrangement that were built into that draft. So, we expect something like that. What we want is a meaningful power sharing arrangement. We do not want a meaningless arrangement. We do not want an arrangement where the center can devolve power and the next day take it back unilaterally. We want some kind of complete autonomy with regard to certain functions and subjects. So, in respect of those subjects and functions, the provincial council must be supreme in its competency, and also the centre should not be able to take those powers back.
so, talking about power devolution, do you see any Indian engagement there? There has been Indian engagement earlier also, but at this point, is there Indian engagement?
Well, India has been quite consistent with regard to this question, commencing from 1987, the Indo-Lanka Accord, which merged the two provinces, albeit temporarily, and ensured a particular model of devolution of power. The unfortunate thing is that that model of devolution that was brought into the constitution has not been fully implemented to date. So, police powers, land powers have not been implemented. Now, two candidates have publicly said that they will fully implement the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. India made joint statements with Sri Lanka 3 times after the war ended, which encapsulated a position that was loosely called 13 plus, but what the full phrase meant was to fully implement the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and building upon it so as to achieve meaningful devolution. So, there was acknowledgement that 13th Amendment had not been fully implemented as yet. So, there was a promise to implement it in full, but it did not stop there. There was also acknowledgement that that was not a meaningful scheme of devolution, and that it will achieve a meaningful devolution scheme. So, that is India's involvement with Sri Lanka with regard to power devolution, and India has consistently urged Sri Lanka to resolve the Tamil national question based on devolution of power that is meaningful.
And then the Tamil National Alliance, the TNA, had at least 3-4 meetings with Ranil Wickremesinghe since 2022-2023 after he came to power. This was on military occupation of Tamil's land in the north and east, or the Tamils detained under PTA, or the disappeared people. So, where does this stand now?
Well, he started off in November 2022 by asking the question, shall we first resolve this? And we all said yes, most certainly. And in December, he called for an all-party conference. And thereafter, as you say, there were 4 or 5 meetings in the month of January itself. He said, we will resolve the issue before the 75th independence, which fell on the 4th of February 2023. But thereafter, there was nothing that was done with regard to that. He abandoned all of those efforts. Now he again restarted this process when the presidential election was approaching, and he had several meetings with me. He had meetings with our party president. He gave a document to say what he would do and so on, but none of that has been implemented. When the other two candidates came to Jaffna and met with us officially in our party headquarters, after those meetings they addressed the press and said they are committed to the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. So we told President Wickramasinghe, they have promised this, but they can do it only if they become president. But you are president now, so you can implement a lot of these things well before the election itself. So he agreed to do that, but he has not to date done any of those.
TNA seems to be fractured. It doesn't have a kind of a strength that it used to have before 2015. So, what do you think are your challenges to get the Tamil votes in mass?
As I told you, this time round, we don't have two separate sort of views. One clearly majoritarian Sinhala Buddhist nationalist view, and the other opposed to that. And at those times, the Tamil people had only one choice. This time, all three are holding out to be friendly towards numerically minority communities. So our people will also have different choices in their own minds as to why one is better than the other. So in such a situation, you see that reflected in the political amalgam also. Some within the party prefer one candidate, some others prefer another candidate, and so on. So the challenge this time is to keep our vote together as one block, and then use that to choose the winner. So this is one reason why our party also, although we've met 4 times before this, haven't been able to take a decision as yet. We want to reflect the mindset of our people. At the same time, we want to choose the best possible out of the three. Or put it the other way, the lesser of the evils to back. So the difficulty this time is due to the fact that all three seem to be devolution friendly and minority friendly.
But every time all of them have been devolution friendly or minority friendly, and everybody has sought your support. But you have ensured that you don't support the Rajapaksas. Other than that,
the Rajapaksas were not devolution friendly. They were not minority friendly. So that's why I said those times we had absolutely no problem in choosing whom to back.
But this time they are also devolution friendly and minority.
No, they are not.
Why do you think? Why?
No, they are not, because Namal Rajapaksa came to my residence and met with me. At that meeting, he very clearly said, I was part of the constitutional reform process in 2015 to 19. I was a member of the subcommittee on law and order, police powers. I have no issues with regard to devolving police powers. So I said, why don't you say that publicly? But to date, his every public utterance has been no police powers, no land powers. So you can't call them devolution friendly. Even what was privately told to me, he is not prepared to say publicly. So they take a very hard line stance, a majoritarian stance. But he is not one of the main 3 candidates. So the 3 main candidates are all very holding out to be devolution friendly. So that's a dilemma that the people as well as the party faces.
Okay. So what do you have to say about Mr. Aryanendran's candidature?
Mr. Aryanendran is a member of our party's central committee. He lent his name to be what is called the Tamil common candidate without any consultation with our party. That whole effort was by some other parties and some organizations, and which did not include our party. Our party is not part of that common structure that has been set up for this purpose. So, in that background, when he opted to become a candidate of other political parties and formations, we have taken disciplinary action against him. We have called for his explanation, and we have barred him from attending any of our party meetings. At the last Central Committee meeting, we also advised our members and cautioned them about joining him in his campaign. So, I think that is a very clear message we have given to the constituency as to our position with regard to Mr. Arinethan.
But and then you have been a strong advocate of the provincial councils, election to the provincial council, and you have been saying that there have to be the provincial setup.
Yeah.
The elections have not happened for a very long time. And when Vignesh was elected, it was thought that the people in the north will have there will be some development there. But after that, also a lot of things failed, and now the provincial council elections haven't happened at all. So, what do you have to say on this? When the president candidates come and meet you, have you been talking about this?
Yes, we have talked about it. India also has in the last several years repeatedly emphasized that the provincial council elections must be held. So, there was a legal snag in holding the provincial council election due to an amendment that was brought in 2017. So, in order to remove that technical block that we had in the law, I have been bringing private members' bills in Parliament 3 times now. So, the third time when I brought it, there was a challenge to it in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court cleared it, saying it can be passed by a simple majority subject to some change in the language. And the second reading happened 2 weeks ago in Parliament. The reason without a debate and without a vote, it was passed. The reason for that is that I put to all the 3 candidates that they must support this. That if they are saying power will be devolved to the provincial councils, surely there must be provincial councils that are functioning, and this legal snag should be removed. So, I negotiated with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, because he was chairman of a parliamentary select committee into this matter. I spoke to President Wickramasinghe, and they said yes, we will support it. Prior to that, the main opposition party SJB and the JVP also have been raising this issue in Parliament. So, we had consensus when my matter came up for second reading. Thereafter, there has been a committee stage process that also went without any hitch. Unanimously, those language changes have been made, and a report of that legislative standing committee was presented to Parliament, and on the 3rd of September is due to be taken up for third reading, which is a final thing. So, I have actually used the forthcoming presidential election and the promise by the various candidates to make the provincial councils function again to pass this law without a challenge in Parliament.
And what do you have to say about India's interests in Sri Lanka election this time?
Well, Mr. Doval met with me and a few other leaders of the other Tamil political parties. He came for something else. He came for Colombo Defence Conclave, but I think he made use of that visit to meet with all the main candidates and all the, particularly the Tamil and the Muslim political party leadership. They are watching the developments in Sri Lanka very closely, naturally, being the closest neighbor. and any change in the administration here will naturally be watched closely by India. So he inquired from us our position, whom we support, all of that kind of thing. And with regard to the Tamil vote, his general advice was that stay together, use it as a block in bargaining for your rights.